And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Epic Land, and welcome back to our Beacons tournament. Continuing on with our group stage action, we have got the banger match indeed up on stream for you. RIX will take on CSGG, our two top teams in the groups, as far undefeated, John, and definitely a match to be watched here at Epic Land.
Yeah, it's safe to say that coming into this, RIX Static, of course, were the highest seed. Both at Epic Land in this Beacon event, as well as they were the highest seed from the actual Beacon overall standings in 6th spot that were playing in this tournament. So they were always one that were easy on the eye to watch in terms of good Valorant gameplay, and a team that you'd probably, if you were a betting man, put your money on to win this event. However, CSGG come into this and were a bit of that middle of the pack sort of standing team, where I think they're currently sitting at like 12th or 14th in the overall standings or something like that for actual Beacon points. And you know, they were always a team that had potential, but they just wasn't as good as other teams. But since that sort of new reworked roster where they bring in Shano, they bring in Hypers as well, they've got Bensky now involved as well. We saw what Bensky could do earlier on stream for game number 1 of the day on that Viper. So it doesn't surprise me that they're now finding this new form and run of success, and hopefully, you know, this is their first real test here in this tournament against a side like RIX. Can they step up to the mark? That's the question.
Well, for RIX, obviously, they are the team that come in as the highest team on the current Beacon table in terms of this particular tournament. Obviously, there are teams above them, but they're not attending this event. So for them, this is the perfect chance to start farming some points as we go into the last 2 events of the Beacon circuit. That chance to have a crack at a VLR, or VRL rather, is their sort of like main sticking point right here and now in this matchup. And for them to continue the undefeated streak, to try and top out the groups and continue to hold themselves contest in this tournament, like this is going to be a tough task for both sides. Obviously, CSGG have proven that they can trump some of the best. We saw them beat the Goose Test a little bit earlier on, and here with this RIX side being where they're established, it's not going to be an easy task for either side for me.
It's not, and one thing I want to highlight quickly is the way that CSGG go about their map vetoes. They have got a map pool that a lot of other teams don't like to play, in terms of they don't mind playing Breeze, they don't mind playing Fracture, and they don't mind playing sort of other anomaly maps as well that aren't too, you know, favourable for other teams. So the fact that we've now seen RIX being forced into banning Breeze and Fracture, that now allows CSGD to set up to pick one of their strongest maps in terms of the likes of maybe an Ascent or the likes of an Icebox. And that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see the Icebox pick come in from the side of CSGG. And I was actually had a chance of earlier on when it was you and Rook casting the game and it was CSGG playing off of stream. I had a chance to sit behind Shano and the side of CSGG and just have a chat to them, and he was like, you'll be surprised how well we can dictate the map before it's even started, because we strategically ban certain maps in a certain order, so we are forcing other teams to waste their bans and we end up getting a favourable map. So nice little bit of insight from like a coach's point of view and an analyst's point of view there, in terms of, you know, trying to get one upper hand advantage already. We are going to see Icebox though, a map that I absolutely love to play.
Yes.
Especially now that it's been changed a little bit since when it first got released. We've had the changes to the B site, towards the yellow box and crate or container, whatever you want to call it, over on the B site as well. It's really going to be interesting to see 2 well-drilled teams, 2 very, very good individual teams as a 5-stack, but also 2 teams that are great as a team playing on a map like Icebox.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Icebox. I mean, I loved it ever since it came into the pool. I was a little bit wary about it at first when it was like announced, it was introduced, but as soon as I saw it, as soon as I played it, I was like, I'm a big fan, and I love this map. So we played out in this particular best of 1, and I'm excited to see how well it will go, because again, it's been around for a while. Both teams should have a decent anchor point into how to play this map and what their game strategy is going to be. You mentioned how they kind of dictate the map before it's even been played and picked, and as a result, I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at this this contest, thinking that as a result, there should be some inklings as to how these sides are going to play to it, whether it be the case that RIX are just dominant and they have their own set strategies and their game plan, or on the other side of the board it will be the case that that CSGG have the counter action, they have the counter tactics, if you will.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think agent select and team comp is going to be something that's really interesting to talk about. It wouldn't surprise me if we see the likes of Bensky, for example, back on the Viper on a map like Icebox. It's impossible to play Icebox without a Viper on. Like, you just have to have a Viper on it. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Peg Zeus, good buddy of mine. I've spoken to him many a times. He's a great guy. He actually used to be in the top sort of like 50 for Europe as a Jet main and as a duelist main. Since he started playing comp, he's now a controller player, which is like a big shift in dynamic. But having that raw ability like Bensky has in terms of the aim advantage on a slower paced agent like a controller, for example, can really play into your team's benefit. So that's going to be a key matchup I think we need to talk about later on, should those two pick the same agent and we see a bit of a Viper diff later on maybe. I'm really excited to get into that agent select though. I think there's going to be a lot to talk about.
There's going to be like so much we can delve into on that front. Like we were just talking about just general agent selections in the last best of one, and now here with these two teams being where they're at, with RIX especially obviously having so much experience and so much knowledge and ideas around the team itself. Like, there's going to be like so many options in which they can pick from. There's so many things that they can do in their side of things. So I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at how this agent select is going to go down, and thinking that there's going to be some very, very fun things that we could pull into. And I think it's about ready to get into it. So, John, quick thoughts and predictions in this matchup?
Honestly, I'm kind of speechless in terms of what to expect from the game. I think if RIX start off very well and they start off very, very frag heavy and they shut down CSGG early, it's going to be very hard for CSGG to claw their way back into this game. On the flip side, I think if CSGG get out to a good start, they have to be consistent, because RIX, they have that sort of flip of a switch factor about them where they can turn it on at any time and cause you problems.
Now, here come the agent picks, as you would expect. There will be some Vipers, there will be some Sages, there will be also a Killjoy over for the likes of RIX, and those top three agents in particular from that top end of the board seems like it's going to be quite juicy.
Yeah, the thing that I'm most interested about is actually the triple Sentinel pick. You've got the Sage on Rex, you've got the Killjoy on Peter, and you've got Sagino, who is actually an absolute animal when it comes to average combat score. In the last leagues, it was Leagues GG who run the most recent Beacon event. He finished inside the top 3 with like a 280 average combat score per game, which is like a ridiculously high amount of damage to be doing. He's on the chamber as well, so you can see here there's actually no entry flashpoint for the side, or for either side actually, apart from the side of CSGG, who have that Fate, who are going to use that Haunt ability a bit like a flash to reveal and blind some enemies. So this is a real tricky one that RIX are going to throw their way. Them starting on defense, they're going to make it really, really hard for CSGG to get any control over here. I think what RIX are doing here, Jay, is banking on a very, very solid defensive half and then getting over the final hurdles to claw a few rounds in on the attacking side.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking a very similar line in terms of their overall strategy here. Does rely on this first half going well, though, so if there's much resistance being posted up by CSGG, then things might start to go off the rails here for the RIX Static side. So predictions for me, I'm going towards RIX Static on this one. But again, much like in their last matchup, I think it can be close, and if there is upset potential, it definitely sits with the CSGG side. They've already proven to us so far at this event that they can do damage, that they can find wins, and this would be one of the hell wins that that would really throw the whole group stage into complete disarray at the top end of the board.
I'm going to say this now, if CSGG win this map, they're going to win the whole event.
You think so?
This is going to be a huge kick-on factor for them.
You predicate their entire tournament run on one best of
100%.
Okay.
As crazy and as stupid as it sounds, particularly a map like Icebox that is so 50-50 based and evenly based, this is a huge kick-on for momentum for CSGG.
Well, look, I'll admit I am no expert, so I'll trust you on this one, John, and Cray will trust his own reactions. Taking 2 players down, Sejiro and Peter immediately removed from play. The first blood drawn out by CSGG on the attacking side. Heals will get in for the little bits of damage that they did. And now Pegasus tries to wrap in against one more, trading places with an attacking player as they start the rotates right back in from mid. Going to evade where the flank is coming from. They should get the B side pretty effectively here.
Oh, that's heartbreaking from Pegasus. You wish you had caster cam like we do. He's actually narrowly past the bomb planter, or spike planter, should I say. Cray, though, going to spot 2 towards the middle of the map. Finds the first, can't find the second, but damage has been done. Spike goes down, 4v2.
Yeah, Cray's found a fantastic triple, setting this whole thing up for CSGG. Hyper's going to lean ahead, catch a headshot onto Pegasus, and just like that, it's all left to Lou. 1 versus 4 scenario for him. Lean in with the Ghost, hoping to get some decent headshots, see where the paint darts coming in, but it's going to be kills for Bensky to respond all the same. So 3 players alive for CSGG as they claim a pretty confident pistol, and it all really came down to that Headhunter, really.
Well, it comes down to Cray finding the triple, right? The first 2 kills he get is Peter, the Killjoy, and Sagino, the Chamber. That is literally your main agents for this comp that RIX are running, wiped off of the map within the first 10 seconds. They've lost complete control of mid, complete control of the B site because there's no trademarks to watch flanks, and it's then really up to Pegasus to try and work his way through the, like, okay, in a different life he probably checks the close room and he probably finds the spike planter and has spike control, but that's very, very risky. Already you can see the aggression out of Hypers though.
How fast he got into that site, and his teammates will follow suit. Sergino looking for headshots on Bensky. Bensky with the Spectre will trade back alongside Jake's Tomo. Regs trying his best to hold on, but doesn't quite do so. Cray with the trade back, and Peter's left alone. Shorty in hand, I should say, to be more specific. Double pump, try catch off some sort of frag back, but unlikely he gets the retake in.
The good old shorty of the shotgun. It will either do about 4 damage to you, or it will do about 400 damage to you. There's no literal in between with this gun, honestly. But a very, very convincing start, but a bit of a throwaway round, you could say, though, really, for the side of RIX Static. They were on the eco, of course, a successful anti-eco conversion from the side of CSGG with a couple Spectres and a Guardian also in their hands, so nothing too much to worry about. They do lose 2 weapons, though, in the hands of, I think it was Hypers and Bensky, who fell. But it doesn't really matter. They got enough to invest back into it if they should want to. It's actually going to be Cray who picks up a shorty. He's going to use the Headhunter and allow another gun to go back into Hyper's hands. So only Bensky really with a pistol left to work with. If CSGG can pick up a successful conversion upon the bonus round here, this is going to cause a lot of troubles and leave RIX in a very, very tough spot early on.
Standard guns in as you would expect here for CSGG. Bonus round for the RIX Static opportunities. Sergino already set up on a very awkward off angle here. The footsteps of the players inbound towards him. Pegasus, however, is the man to get the opening frag. Sergino can actually strike against 2 players. He drops down. Hypers forced to trade it back. And now Pegasus backed up in the back lines behind the yellow container. Gets the kill, leaving it all on Bensky in the CSGG side. And what was confidence over on that attacking side is returned over by RIX in an instant.
And that's why it's so useful to have the likes of a Chamber on this map, because you can send him really aggressively up towards B long, for example, and the rendezvous placement and the teleports can be so close that he could pretty much be back right in the middle of the map almost instantaneously after finding a pick. And someone like Sergino, I said, he's a really, really frag-heavy type of player that he doesn't mind getting really aggressive on an agent like Chamber, because he's so good at using those rendezvous to get himself away and out of trouble. It has left Bensky, though, in a bit of a tough spot, who is now also revealed by the recon drone. There's the alarm bot as well. This team comp, an agent comp to play against on the side of RIX is so frustrating, Jay. It really, really is. You're like, okay, cool. The alarm bot spotted me. That's their only bit of util they've got out of the way with. Oh no, there's another turret. Oh no, wait, there's 2 trademarks I've got to deal with. And guess what? Here comes the recon dart and the recon drone as well from the Sova. So the key for CSGG is to try and get that util and that ability wasted as soon as possible in the start of the round, and then really focus late round game and try and make an explosive execution with around 30 seconds, 20 odd seconds left.
You mentioned the 3 Sentinels for good reason there, John, so well placement on the RIX Static side, of course, overwhelming the CSGG campers. They're just caught so flat-footed. Guns can come back in for them, though. True gun round coming in between RIX Static and CSGG. It's only in round 3, and already Sergino is just doing fantastic to find all these opening picks. 2% down at no percent. He's looking for even more, sees the burst up onto Hypers, will get caught by the Snake Bite, force him back, and Bensky can get the trade forward, but Rex is still going to press the issue and ultimately lose his life and lose the A site with it. I've got Lou also the backlines, he rotates the position, and Jake's Tomo will overwhelm Peter next to the scene to respond. Backups well far away, all the way back at the B site. As Hypers gets that kill, the round is lost for Rex.
Yeah, Peg's going to be saving this Vandal through to the next round, and that's actually great util combination out of the side of CSG as well. What happens is we see Bensky fire the Snake Bite towards that close generator. That then has to force that player out, right? He's tagged up vulnerable. The nade comes back through to force the player back in towards the Snake Bite because of the paint shell splatter. And then Bensky's there to swing and find the headshot. And just like that, he picks up 2 with a second ridiculous shot, by the way, over the top of that slight gap in the wall. And it leaves Pegs in a 4 versus 1. Listen, he's a talented man. He's a beautiful man as well, by the way. I think probably the only man that could push you for the best hair in esports. I think he's got a man bun on him. I'll tell you that now. I want a picture of you 2 together side by side later on, honestly.
Get it up on Twitter and ask people to vote on who's got the better hairstyle.
Get a Twitter.
All right, okay. Let's sort this out after the match. We've got
Val Esports. If you can hear us, get it on the official Twitter.
All right, now. Nothing pretty about RIX Static scenario. Down 2 rounds. CSGG took the pistol, the conversion, as you would expect, and then the gun rounds came through. And they're still overwhelmed on that, in spite of RIX's own basic victory on the bonus weapons. Both sides have the rebuy back. Of course, there's money to play with for CSGG. There's nothing in the savings, though, for Static. This is going to be a very awkward round if they lose it.
Yeah, and this is exactly what CSGG want to do against a very, very defensive-based team comp. For the side of RIX GG, we mentioned the triple Sentinels. They got the Initiator as well out in Sova. This should be really, really hard for the side of CSGG to break onto sites. But, other than Sergino, who's getting a little bit aggressive with that chamber, it's been straightforward stuff really for CSGG. And Bensky, actually pops the Viper's pit towards the back of the door. That's going to allow him to get to a bit of an off angle and towards the back of sight, and there he is. It's going to be RIX who falls. Bensky's there for 2 as Lou falls as well. And just like that, this is so hard for Sagino here though, because he's going to come out of this being low HP. Surely he just waits for the peak, and there you go, there's the kill.
Yeah, 2% with the frag back, 2 left standing for RIX Static. The Viper already been tagged up on their side of things. Peter trying to press the issue forward, out towards heaven. Pegasus knows that there's just no way forward in that mid control until the Viper's pit goes away, and indeed it does. That was a very awkward place to place it there for the likes of the CSGG side, forcing RIX Static on their rotations, and as you mentioned, just low HP on their own part, had no choice but to save at the end of it. 4th round to the board of CSGG, and they're beating RIX Static into submission. This very early game is going swimmingly to the favour of the attacking side.
It's almost like CSGG have done their homework on the way that RIX would have
yeah, that's something I mentioned as well during the pregame, is like how much research could they have done, and very clearly on this map, they've come with a serious game plan and one that's working.
And I love the ult placement from Bensky as well. It's a bit of an unorthodox ult that we don't see too much of, but the key factor is all he wants to do is either 1, cause a distraction from the players on site because of the aggressions then going to come through the zip lines and onto the site, or 2, let the players focus on those people coming from the main entry point of A main and then just lurk in behind and find 2 or 3 kills, which is exactly what he does. So far, it's been pretty much flawless, apart from that bonus round, which you kind of expect to lose anyway when you've only got a couple Spectres in your back pocket to work with. It's been a nigh on flawless performance thus far from CSGG, and well, the side of RIX, they've got to get something going, and they've got to get it going quickly. And are they forcing into this here? No, it's just the 2 saves from last round, right? They saved 2 Vandals through. This is a tough spot that RIX have found themselves in early doors, Jay. Oh,
straight shot from Cray, connects on to Sergino once again. Start out for CSGG, of course. Hyper's pressing the issue out towards the B site, will lead the charge in. Ulti's also thrown out to try and allow the execution to be pretty effective for it. Got the smokes out, the poison screens. Plants, swipe here for Jake's Tomo. The retake will try to come through for RIX Static. You mentioned those 2 weapons that they have saved in. They've got the turrets going out, the nano swarms that will try to get to the site itself, try to force these players back. But nothing major being gained here by the defensive line. They continue to try to press the issue, but so far so little is given up here by CSGG. In fact, they're taking more kills with Craze, the operator pick onto Peter, reduce it into 3 now on Static. There's no way to break in. As soon as they do, they probably get picked up. Indeed, they do.
It's nigh on impossible as Craze going to find a 3rd, although RIX is good for 1. Can't find any more as JT is there to trade the kill and RIX falls. And that is a 5th round on the board for CSGG. They are putting on an absolute clinic here on Icebox, Jay. And this is what we mentioned about CSGG. Like, you know, if you cast your mind back to last Epic Land and other various online Valorant events, they were a team that they didn't look, you know, that convincing. They looked like they were quite easily beatable, but now with this addition of Bensky, with the addition of Hypers as well, and I gotta say, credit where credit is due, Cray has been performing fantastically well as well this weekend, whether it's been in the frag department or just the overall positional department, and taking so much presence on the map for his team. It's been great so far from CSG.
Trying to see if they can get just as quick and easy into the frag counts for the attacking side. Hyper is trying to pick things up because I mean, he's not quite top fragger potential, but he's definitely leading the charge. Bensky going to cut rotations as well, hold back up at spawn. Hunter's Fury being brought out by the defensive side, but Bensky dealing with those forward players. Pegasus caught off, and Rex to get forced away. Loon not getting much out of this one. The shock dart might catch players on the site. The spike has gone down meanwhile, so the retake will be on at a 2-player disadvantage again for the RIX side. Putting the TPs up, Peter starting to lean forward here as Kratos, the operator, set in, but 2% gets the kill onto Lou. Now Senjuro gets that one to return. Now Peter reforms with him. 2 players on the stand-up for the Static side, both held back into the back of the site, isolating picks, but ultimately trades are coming back and forth as Hypers holds down the round. CSGG gets 6-1 on the board. RIX Static just not catching a break here in this defensive line.
Well, you could say they're quite literally just moving statically. They shell shot. They don't really know what to do here, Jay. And I've got to say, it's that dynamic duo once again of Hypers and Bensky. I sound like a broken record, but Bensky finds 2 initially at the start of the round, and then Hypers is there to just trade towards the back of the site. And it's just such great crossfire and positional play. And here we go, another break of the economy here for the side of RIX. And look at the economy that is starting to build on the side of CSGG. They've got a couple ults to work with. Apart from Pegs, who's got the Marshall, and listen, he's a headshot machine with that gun. He can do the damage, but it's nigh on impossible here when you've got Hypers just swinging at you like this.
Run right into the turret here, got the poison screens coming out, and Rex actually gets the Sheriff in for 3 kills. Said shots and heads are rolling all over the site. Jake's Tomo can return fire though, a 3-on-2. RIX Static may have found their line in. Sergino has got to try chime in of his own right though, get some sort of picks back. Cray playing Overwatch here with the operator. Hasn't got access to the site yet. Neither does Spike can go down.
Tough spot that CSGG find himself in, though. I think the only good thing about them is those players on RIX haven't recycled or upgraded any of the weapons from the pistols into those Vandals that will be dropped. But you've got to say, REX being a difference maker thus far for the side of RIX here in round number 8. Very, very winnable, though, for JT and the two duo players for the side of CSGG. They find the first, it's Peg who swings. The contact comes out. Cray finds 1. 2 versus 1. 40 seconds left, Jay.
Operator, not the most ideal weapon for the entry. Spike will get picked up and he'll switch to the short U, that back to the Sheriff as well. Tapping desperately to find anything he can, and Viper's pick gets brought out. Taps through Cray, almost clutched it, but Pegasus will get the 50 steal for Static, finally breaking the streak of CSGG.
I would love to have seen him switch out to a Vandal there in that situation. He would have probably had a lot more of a viable chance to win it, but it is going to be, though, a round for the side of RIX. Static finally breaking that momentum and steam train that seems to be CSGG, and that all comes down to Rex, the man on the Sage, finding 3 fantastic headshots with his Sheriff.
Yes.
The third one to snap onto the player on the zip wire as well is absolutely ludicrous behavior from him. But on the flip side, though, CSGG will be disappointed with that round loss and look to try and bounce back fast.
Satchels again, Hyper's charging straight forward of this onto the zip line, and Lou has no idea! Look at the pace they're playing at for CSGG. Overwhelming RIX again. They're just caught so flat-footed with every one of these A-takes, and it has just been A-take after A-take after A-take. Satchel into the zip line, into the double-up kills. They cannot account for this. They just don't know what to do.
Zipline accuracy, by the way, with a Phantom is ridiculous. I can confirm, I think Rex has probably just broken his keyboard.
Most likely.
I would most definitely have done that if that happened to me. And that's what happens when you have someone like Hypers that is quite literally so hyper-aggressive on a raise. You know, you can just get into so many off angles, just satcheling onto the zipline to just fly across. We know how great your run and gun can be in a game like VALORANT. It makes it so much more easy to deal with. 3 players forced to save it, and as soon as Rix get any momentum built, there's the door slam straight shot in their face from CSGG, and they bounce back with the 7th.
This is exit frags for Surgeon. It's the half also gained for CSGG thanks to that round. Big result found there on the attacking half, and for Rick Static, every time they find some positivity, things just go off the rails again. And it's concerning. Again, heavy favourites in this tournament and this matchup, and they aren't getting a single look in.
This isn't the Rick Static that you would have expected to come into this, Jay. To be totally honest with you, Lou really struggling at 2 and 8, Peter at 1 and 6. Having a bit of a tough performance. I mean, you look at 2% at 2 and 5. He's on the Sage, though. His job is to literally just put the wall down on site to cover the plant and then, you know, try and slow some people down if possible. On the other side of things, though, CSGG, they just, they've got a nastiness about them at the moment, Jay, where they really have come into this game to want to prove a point and get a job done, and that's exactly what they're doing right now.
Rex bring on the barrier, Orb needs to engage against his players on the flank, and Hypers again with the entries looking for the triple. That's exactly what he gets. God, this is something else from him. And we mentioned Bensky and Cray are doing such great work. Hypers has picked it up in his last few rounds, and he's always been playing the entry role, so he's been doing fantastic in that respect. But this is nothing Static can do, and now they're just finding flank angles, different angles of approach, and Rix are consistently struggling to adjust and account for those. Even Pegasus down to the hands of Cray. There's nothing left in it. The 1v5 for Surgeon. And when does the tactical get called by Rix? When do they stop and say, boys, what's going on?
I think probably after this round, to be totally honest with you. It's a sort of similar situation to what we saw earlier on, right? In I can't remember what game it was, the second series of the day, where we saw a tactical timeout come through and they ended up winning the next 2 rounds. And from there, they made a comeback. You can't afford to go in and lose 10-2 at half-time. 8-4 is the scoreline that Rix needs to happen here at the half. If not, CSGG are just going to make your life really, really difficult. I'm surprised that a tactical timeout hasn't been called at all yet. Unless it's happened earlier on while we were talking and the scoreboard was up and we missed it. But I can't.
I don't think we would have missed something that big.
I can't recall the tactical timing coming into play, and they usually would take it now as well because it's an eco round. So it would make sense to call it now. It gives yourself a little bit longer to actually kind of get down what you want to do. But I mean, Hypers, what a performance. Listen, if there's any frag movie editors out there, keep your DMs open, because this man has probably put on a performance worthy of one just in this map alone, let alone the whole tournament and event thus far. But CSGG trying to put 9 on the board if they can.
Yeah, some ridiculous moments. Surgeon bringing out Tour de Force. Just needs to find an opening. At least they've slowed things down this time. CSGG not satcheling and charging their way into the A site with ridiculous speed and pacing and frags and chaos and madness that they can just dictate to their own favor. It slows down, and it slows down to a complete crawl.
And this is a problem that RIX are having as well, because they're a team on the defensive side of things on Icebox, and we've seen it a few times. They like to send those 2 Sentinel players of Killjoy and of Chamber towards the middle of the map, but every time they're being met by Craze Operator or Tour de Force on the Chamber. Fortunately, though, Pegasus is going to find the first, and Rex is snuck behind enemy lines. This is huge for the side of RIX. Can they find one? The rest comes through. Bensky's back in.
Now Lou's going to wait with Rex creeping around. Headshot gain. Second player not being seen. Tunnel vision, but Lou comes up with support. So, finally, RIX Static take this eco and turn it into success. Bensky caught next by Surgeon, returning him to the grave, which he was brought back from by his team. A 5-on-2. CSGG having Craze set to the operator, wrapping in slowly but surely. Needs to find a pick back, but Lou is so ready for it. Phantom in hand, doesn't quite win out that one fight. A couple of trades come back from CSGG. 12 seconds though, got to get straight into the site from here. They've got the Chamber creeping in first and foremost. Spike's got to go down on the back of 2%, and there's Tour de Force continuing to frag away from Surgeon. Triple up for him, and RIX Static will find their steal.
Well, speaking of threes, third on the board as well for RIX finally in terms of round count. As I mentioned, they've got to go in at 8-4. Anything less, and it's going to be a tough job for them to do on their attacking half. They've not got the best of attacking executing sides, to say the least. They've got no explosivity really on their attacking half like the side of CSGG do with the Fade or with the Raze, for example. So RIX, they've left themselves with a lot of work to do, but if anyone can do it, it's definitely them. Lockdown available as well, the revive in the back pocket and the locker for Rex to work with too for this RIX side. Wouldn't surprise me if we see Hypers try and pop this.
Perfect. Surgeon catches the first, 2% down. Double dipping, in fact, thinking about it. Not quite going to commit to it, though. Boombot will come out to reveal position. Of course, we're going to have to fly back towards it. Sort of the trademark working as Viper's Pit comes in for the attacking side. Surgeon's going to get forced away, taking some tag damage, but ultimately getting back to safety.
Yeah, patience is key now from CSGG. They know the rotation from RIX Static will probably have come over. There's going to be at least 3 or 4 players set up here, but they can't afford to just rush it. I like that. They're going to play behind the horn. Hypers tries to get aggressive, but he's met with the operator of Surge. You know, there's going to be Pegasus as well to shut down Bensky. The Viper's Pit is now offline, and this should be the 4 for RIX.
Well, the spike has gone down. CSGG will stand and fight. Also got the lockdown coming in for the defensive side. Sprays through from Jake's Tomo, trying to get his picks back and ultimately unable to do so. Pizza will get the final blow in the half, and they'll make it to turn in the defensive side for RIX Static. Although, honestly, they got pummeled in throughout the course of that half, honestly, John. Like, that was not an encouraging performance from our favourites in this tournament at all. Maybe in the pistol they could re-swing back some momentum, but 8-4 down is not what I was expecting from RIX.
I think CSGG will probably be kicking themselves that they lost those last 2 rounds the way they did and sort of rolled over slightly for RIX. I mean, a few costly mistakes, and it's actually something I said to Shano when he was playing against, I think they were playing Gladius earlier on. I think it was the team that they played. And I said, look, you guys are a really good team, but you're getting a little bit too aggressive at times and carried away with the scoreline. When you're like 8-2 up, 8-3 up, just relax for that final round. Take your foot off the pace slightly, and I think that's what's costing them still here in those 2 rounds in particular. They've just sort of ran and allowed RIX to just claw their way back into this game. But there is a lot of clawing left to do, to say the least. 4 rounds is the deficit here as we head into our second half.
Sergeant, I bring that Headhunter. Lou presses the issue forward onto a site. Grab some control initially, fitting the Aldrone up for Information's game. Sergeant cutting off those rotations, ready to TP back up that first contact, but it's slow and careful. Seeing 1, 2%, prodding in for info and falling back immediately.
Yeah. It's going to be Pegasus now on Belong trying to work his way up, worm his way in and out of trouble. Speaking of getting out of trouble, it's going to be Cray who rendezvous his way and lives to see another day. Hypers, though, the top fragger thus far. He's so... Look at the movement on this race. He's so good with it, honestly. Rex is going to find a trade on to Pensky after the initial kill. Is going to go down to Peter. 4 versus 4 spikes still yet to be planted.
Hyper been seen, though. Taps forward 2% with that one decent kill. Pegasus will be able to trade. Cray comes back in of their own accord. 3-on-2 situation. CSGG pressing back against the A defensive, but Rex with a decent headshot. Hypers executes him all the same. The spike is down, and Lou is fighting for site control once again. 30 seconds. No plant to be secured, of course. Hunting for the angle against Hypers. Sees, taps through to the adjustment. That was a sick headshot. But now where is the last? Lou doesn't have a clue. He has the spike at least. And how it's slow walk-ins in from the last of Cray, playing around the info dart to come through, the spike to be planted. No info gain. Little do they creep. Looks to the right position at the right time, but Cray lands the headshot. Lou could only get tags in, and CSGG win an important pistol.
A very important one at that, and unfortunately for Lou, he comes so close but so far. He actually got the timing on Cray crossing as well. So, unfortunately, I think he didn't have enough time to work with to try and delay that spike plant and catch him off guard. And when it comes down to it, the quick draw of the chamber lives to see another day. And I mean, when you get yourself 13-7, I was only backing one winner in that against someone who was 4-11 at the start of that round, or, you know, before that round ended, sorry, should I say. And here we go, tactical timeout comes in from RIX very early.
Wow. Early in the half, late in the game, though. Like, I think this is far too late. Because RIX are having major problems from the word, almost nearly the word go, to be honest. Like, it started back and forth, and then things just took off for CSGG like a space rocket.
Yeah.
And there was no stopping that. No chance.
I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, Icebox is a map that we have sometimes, you know, ignore the pun, to see snowball out of control slightly, because it's a map that is a real momentum-based map. And the problem that RIX was having on the defensive half with their team comp is it was almost a little bit too defensively based. There was no one that could really storm their way out and take control over a lane, because if you send your chamber to do that, you've lost your trademarks. That's going to be the middle of the map control, for example, completely wide open, because you don't have the likes of a Sage wall, or I don't think they was actually sending their Sage over towards the tube, to wall tube at the time. They was sending them over towards the A site instead. So, you know, you allow your Killjoy to push up, you've lost your turret and your alarm bot on swarm grenades to deny spike plant. And that's the issue that I think RIX were having, and now they're going to have the same issue here after losing that first pistol on the attacking side, because apart from probably, like I said, Sagino on the chamber, there's no aggression, there's no flash face really for the side of RIX to try and break their line of sight.
Hyper's in with a Spectre, seeing the Owl drone coming out, these screens down, smoke's standard. And Ski pops out, sees one, Resurgeno with the opening kill here for RIX Static, and Lou follows suit. Peter catches Cray with a pistol in hand. Jake's Tomo now held back in the middle of the toxic smokes to be able to try and fire back against Lou, but Lou ends up with the kill, and that is overwhelming for RIX Static. In the same way that CSGG were overwhelming on their attacking half, now is turned away for the RIX side, and the question is, can they turn this into a comeback now?
Well, the domino effect really has to well and truly reign suit, and it has to start now. But that's the start that they wanted, though, because what would have been a bonus round for the side of CSGG now becomes a bonus round for RIX themselves against an eco that they should probably win and put 6 rounds on the board for. However, this is Valorant. We never know what's going to happen on eco rounds. I feel like eco rounds on Valorant are a lot more easily winnable than on other games, for example, because there's so many abilities that you can play around. I mean, you've got the Headhunter in the hands of Cray, for example, who can just pull that out and it become a headshot machine. Hyper's shooting fantastically well as well at the moment with the Sheriff too. So, for the side of CSGG, they got to say to themselves, okay, clear our mind. We know we've lost that last round. We'll probably lose this round too, but when we go back into the next full buy, let's not make any mistakes.
Well, taps through the pistol for 2%, taking that early contact into the B entryways, but it's slow and passive from RIX. Meanwhile, CSGG will start pressing the issue out towards the mid-control, see nothing, and recognise that there must be something going on with the FB side. So, stacks involved, damage will be done initially. They will put the standard slow orbs and snake bites out against them, counteraction utility from the defensive side. Bensky's toxic screen's about to start fading. They're being careful about this as RIX gets that planted thanks to the barrier orbs. So a little bit harder cover to keep them expressed. Bensky does get the opening kill, but Pegasus trades it right back and is responsive. A 4-on-4 will continue to bring the automatics to the table against the CSGG. Side spotting players that make their way out. Jakes Tomo still makes it an even man standing, though. They are on a spike as well. Alarm bot comes in that tries to trigger Lou with a kill back. Jakes Tomo still continues to fight back with a triple. And Surgeon forced to trade back into a 1-versus-1, trying to hold off with the timer onto the defuse they'll look to get here. Jakes Tomo gets into the halfway line and tries to look for the hunt. Surgeon is not moving, though. Swing back at the barrier orb, spotting again. Taps forward, it will clear! And Surgeon will keep it together.
Oh, I was begging for him to stick it. I think he might have had time to stick it behind that broken barrier orb. However, probably the best recoil control of a Spectre, not of a Spectre, of a Stinger I've ever seen in my life from Surge. You know, that gun kicks about like no tomorrow. But a very costly round at that, though. I say that a costly round for RIX, but to be honest, it was a bit of a bonus round for them. So they're going to still buy into this next one regardless anyway. Only the Spectre kept from Sagino going through to the next. So CSGG now, though, this is where they can't afford to throw too many rounds in the game away here. If they lose this, they're going to be forced to eco. That will allow then RIX to probably sit on 8 rounds into the next full buy. So these next few rounds, very, very pivotal here.
How close the deficit to 3 separate rounds for RIX to equalise against CSGG. Aldrone sent out by Lou, in and out to the back of the site. Sees the fire, spots the one player, tags them as well. Hyper's forced to get out of dodge here, the Vandal's part. RIX also leaning in, aggressive against the snake bite coming forward. You have also got Viper's Pit called in by the attacking side. Peter with the kill on Pensky kicks things off for the RIX static camp. They've got utility pouring in towards the general plant positions, though it will not deny the spike plant, however. They set up for the retake.
Yeah, they actually tried to use the Haunt ability from the Fade as well to get the info as to where that Viper was through the Viper's Pit, but unfortunately doesn't tag anyone up, and now in what is a 4-versus-5, make it a 4-versus-4 as Lou's gonna fall. They gotta try and shut this Viper down, and they do. There's Hypers! See you later, Sagino! And all of a sudden, what was a 5-versus-3 should easily have been 1.
Sorax now against 2, against 3, faced in by Cray. The pistol executes the back of the head, and CSGG charging in to the right place at the right time. Again, it's that hyper-aggression of Hypers that comes up big for a defensive round. A 10th round for CSGG now. And RIX Static felt like they were getting on a roll, felt like they had their way into the matchup. And suddenly they're forced to rebuy back to low money again. If they lose this next one, John, I'm going to call it.
Yeah, it's... I don't think people realize how one kill like that from Hypers onto the Viper just completely flips the round on its head. As soon as that Viper Pit goes down, and this is the problem sometimes teams have when they invest so heavily into playing inside the whole team of a Viper's Pit. If that falls, your team is exposed as anything, and you're just basically like shooting fish in a barrel at that point. That's exactly what happened. Hypers goes huge once again. CSGG find a 10th.
Charge forward again towards that B side of the map. Rex given the chance to get the ulti in as available for them if they require it. Cray now sticking around, and the lockdown comes in instead for the attacking side. We're driving them away from this B site control. Pegasus leans forward towards Amy more on the lurk play, but ultimately this actually will end up being an A play. I think they're trying to draw a lot of attention, and it's been successful. Only one player to the backside.
Should be straightforward site control here for the side of RIX, unless Bensky can do anything about it. If he finds one, he's got the Viper's Pit for the retake as well, so it's funny how we spoke about how important the Viper's Pit can be on the attacking side, equally as important and clutch for the defensive retake too.
Lean forward, the pistols, lean up for Hypers once again. Sheriff in hand, getting up to the top end of the site. Spray through the toxic scenes from Rex, get a little bit closer to James Tomo. Jakes Tomo taps up the spike. Hunter's Fury in to try and drive him away. Jakes Tomo gets the kill on Rex. Hypers turn back in with the tour de force of Surgeon. Pegasus on the flank, gets spotting on one player. Surgeon continues to strike back on Cray as well, but Jakes Tomo has it back to a 2-on-2, making it a 2-on-1. Bensky continues to try look for the trades and gets so close towards Surgeon, and now leans forward to catch him still, to catch off Lou, the perfect headshot, low HP, perfect play on the clutch, and that's not enough. And regardless of that, the spike was too far ticked. The round still goes the way of RIX.
Oh, for a second I thought there was enough time, but too little too late. However, though, look at that in terms of the economy. It's still a big loss to not only RIX, but it's a big loss to CSGG as well. We basically got a poor buy versus a poor buy here, Jay, going into this next round. Whatever team loses, their economy is going to be an absolute tatters here. So for CSGG, although I like it. I like it. They've got the rounds to play with here. They're going to eco and try and build that economy. I like that a lot. They'll probably let the tour de force be invested in from Cray to try and find a kill. And if they do, they'll try and thrifty by recycling those guns.
Cray taking point on the defensive line, trying to charge forward. So many players throughout this corner, though. Teleports out of the way. Good idea, because there's so many around that corner. RIX Static could easily overwhelm. Rex, first player up, will put the barrier orbs in place. Cray continues to look around. The first spike can get planted. Pegasus not quite seen. Instead, the shot rings out from Cray. The 20 HP, he'll go, could get caught by the Narrow Swarm and everything. Could find the flank and everything. Hypers sending out the boom bot just above that barrier orb. Cut down by one other player. And no way to break in here for the CSGG side. RIX Static have their line held, but still they present themselves. 2% in particular. Down to Surgeon. Cray's tour de force overwhelmed by Rex. Next player to drop a 5-on-3. Rex continues to press the issue. Hypers with only one try back at his pistol, leaving it all to the last two individuals, Bensky and Jakes Tomo. Jakes Tomo doing well to catch Pegasus at least. Unable to quite catch Rex, no scoping his way to victory. Actually lands the kill in the end. Oh my god! 3, 4, perhaps. He sees where Lou is. The gun barrel's breaking! Oh my god!
He's
Jakes
got no time! He's got no time!
Again, the clutch was right there, but again the time comes back to bite the defensive force. Rix clinging onto these rounds, grazing past the brushes of death, somehow keeping themselves within the buffer of loss.
Never tell me the Marshall is not the best gun in Valorant, alright? It's one of the cheapest things to buy, but it is an absolute hip-fire headshot machine. That is... I would love to have been downstairs and listened to the screaming after what's that. I mean, they probably heard us downstairs.
Yeah.
Hi, guys down there. Sorry about kidding your ears. We apologise. But either way, though, again, that was an eco round out of CSGG, and they've absolutely continued to batter the economy of RIX, even though RIX have won the round.
It does set up for long-term success, and if they can find that breaking point, it would be enough to tip it past the finish line here for CSGG. But when is that breaking point going to come? Will it come? We'll see them making their way in. Surgeon leading the charge out towards mid, having Pegasus on the flank. Oh, they have no idea, and Jakes Tomo's caught for it. Bensky and Hypers are also seen. Hypers will go down. Bensky, top sight spray through. Peter can get the quick trade back off the lose death. A 3 versus 2. RIX Static have control of the site. Do CSGG go for this?
I think it's more than winnable because they've got the revive as well. But there you go, the resurrection going to come straight back in from RIX.
They're going to charge forward, but anyway, 2%. First man in. Cray right behind. Lean forward towards the main entrance. Again, time is ticking. CSGG have won clutch after clutch in these retakes, and Surgeon puts them both down, gives them no chance of this one. No expensive round for RIX Static. Within one of the even scoreline, CSGG now call in the tactical.
How the tides have turned, how the turn of tables have occurred, Jay. A minute ago, we were saying, RIX, that is such an early tactical timeout to take after losing the pistol round. They then spiral their way out of control and win, what, 5 or 6 on the bounce. It's now CSGG with their back against the wall, forcing the timeout. Honestly, Jay, just when you think a team is going to start to build momentum, the other team just swing back. The only thing CSGG have in their advantage for their next buy round is all 5 ults will be online and available.
Some fun times ahead of us, it seems, John.
Fun, stressful, just a few,
Tense.
just a few verbs and adjectives to throw into the equation, to say the least. But I mean, what a game! What a game
yeah,
we've seen
absolutely.
so far.
I'm super glad we've got to see it, because it has had its lull moments, but when it gets going, it gets really going. And just to think of how the last 3 rounds have played out here.
We've actually seen 3 back-to-back 3v1s,
Yeah.
and the person that has clutched a 3v1 hasn't won the round.
Exactly.
Which is absolutely only in Valorant, right? It's only in Valorant. But here we go. Let's take a little look at our score with Sagino, though, again.
Oh.
Super frag heavy. This is going to be the eco, though, that comes out. The Marshall in the hands of Jakes Tomo, though.
I mean, you literally just pointed out how he's like a hip-fire headshot machine with that weapon, and certainly could be one to watch out for here. CSGG damn near clutched the previous clutch with him. Aldron out for Lou to prod towards the B site once again. His teammates right behind just to clear out these positions. Spot 1 of Benki. Now Rex will try to lead in the charge. Hypers puts away the recon dart. Has also got the ulti available with the showstopper. And they're grouped up right here. If he uses that, they're all dead.
My mind is, I'm just sending telepathically to Hypers right now. Just pop the ult and fly around the corner and kill all of them, all right?
You know you want to. You're like the devil on the shoulder right there. Oh, Devils invading the site. Spike goes down. Retakes on for CSGG here. Oh, but the Viper's Pit comes out as well to try and suppress them. The Pistols lean in, particularly on Cray. Tagged up. Decayed away. Teammates trying to look for a different angle to play with. They can't quite seem to find that Viper. Peter does get 2% instead. So that's CSGG down on the margins. Flanks also inbound to Surgeon. Gets Cray next. 3 left, 2 left on the defensive forces. And now from here, Hypers will just dive forward. Catch off one player off guard, but not off for the kill. It's Bensky again left alone. Yeah. To fall alone. 10 all to the board. RIX Static have indeed brought the comeback. Now's the time to take the lead and take the match.
I'm not sure I agree with the Viper's Pit being invested there, though, from Pegasus, to be totally honest with you. I mean, you know you're playing against an eco round. You've got more than enough utility with those post plants of the Sova, of the Viper's Snakebite, as well as the Swarm Grenades as well from the Killjoy to be able to handle a couple Sheriffs here or there. I mean, that's a big ult that they've invested into that round when they didn't really need to. Speaking of ults for online and available for CSGG, it's now or never for both these two teams, really. As if you asked me around 7 or 8 rounds ago who would win this, I would probably have said CSGG are winning this about 13-3, 13-4, but it's been nothing but a one-sided affair as RIX, they've stormed their way back into this game.
Attacking halves at everything, it seems, in this matchup. Bensky sets in with the initial defensive. They've also got the lockdown, which Bensky will be well clear of. It looks like most defensive forces will be clear. It's a case of getting to the right angle on that B side, getting the spike down and going from there here for RIX.
Let's see how this unfolds. The lockdown will, like you said, just gauge them a little bit more wiggle room and comfort room to try and put that spike down. It is going to be the Snakebite miss, though. Post plant set up and very comfortable here for RIX Static, but here comes CSGG. Cray Blitz finds the kill. There goes Sagino. Numbers advantage, CSGG.
That's a big frag to find, but now they're on the inbound attack. Lou trying to hold off against them. Hypers charges in with the showstopper. Sees them both! That's a big double. CSGG up by 3 players now, and Hypers isn't done. Triple found. Bensky closes the last, and the defensive holds the lead.
I need a test on Hypers right now, because this man is not human, Jay. The aggression, the absolute sheer audacity to fly around corners at half HP with the showstopper to then snap onto the head with the Vandal as well. RIX, well, they storm their way back into this game, but not on Hypers, and Bensky's watch as the 11th go on the board finally for the side of CSGG and RIX. That is going to be an absolute dagger in their heart after building such a lot of momentum on that comeback.
So much work to be done. It's not quite over just yet. The job isn't finished. It's still plausible, though. Again, they could still bounce back. They have a buy in this round. Tour de Force brought out, so no need to invest into an operator or any other weapon on the Chambers part. Cray leaning in with the operator himself, caught off, but catches Sergio and removes that Tour de Force from play immediately here.
CSGG, Cray in particular, he's so good on that chamber. Even though he's tagged with the recon, he's going to expect someone to swing his way back. Oh! Cray, the tracking through the smoke's going to find yet another, and that's going to be the wall on the Sage as well. That's going to be a hard situation to unfold now, but Lou swings 2% there to find the kill.
Peter needs to find the trade as well, forced out of the spike position. There's also a resin for Cray's part of things. CSGG have 5 players versus the 2 of RIX Static. The trades can't be found. They can't hold on forever. And now it's match point for CSGG. You said you thought they were going to take it in one-sided fashion. RIX have made it close, but they're still looking likely to get handed their first loss in the group stage here, John. 2 rounds to make up for overtime. Let's look at the buy. Let's take a look at the potential here.
I mean, I think it's going to be very, very poor for RIX, and it is. It really, really is. Okay, yeah, you're going to get a full set of Vandals on the board, except from Peter, probably going to be stuck with the Spectre, but that whole round comes down to 1 kill. Not necessarily the first kill Craig got, but the second to shut down RIX. That means no Sage Walls available to help you plant on that site, and even though that new B site has opted for some more cover, you can plant in the close cubby now, you can plant on the site and be exposed. It's so hard to plant without a Sage Wall on Icebox. That's why Icebox is, you know, only picked in when you're a good team that can play behind that Sage. So as soon as you lose that player, Cray's going hunting, Jay, Cray's going hunting.
He's got his crosshair placed on several individuals, has no idea. He's letting them cross at 2%, thinks he's safe. He thought wrong. RIX with the kill that opens up the B site on just a single frag. That was all the defensive they had there on that side of the map.
Yeah, they're going to instantly wall off CT as well and towards Snowman, so they know exactly the angles that these players are going to be pushing for this retake from. Cray, though, Gonna try and be the difference maker, open up the doors with the operator. Not a lot of time to work with though here, and they're nowhere near the site, Jay.
Try go for it regardless. CSGG, operator in particular for Cray. Around the outside, Bensky set with Snake Bite. Surgeon catches him with his back turn, though, hiding in the cubby corner. Get blind as Jake's Tomo gets the trades back, but only good for one. 2 players left as Hypers gets overwhelmed. It's all onto Cray. 5 points of health to look for an exit at least. Bring out the Headhunter. Can't flick towards them. Pegasus with the kill to return. And we'll play out the entire of regulation here. 12-11. CSGG want to close this down. RIX static, not willing to die yet.
Oh, I said I'm not overtime King Jay at the start of the game. Can I sense one on my hands? I think we might just have that. Surgeon sitting at 29 frags on a chamber, Jay. I think it's been really him and Cray, right? I would say he's probably had the upper hand on Cray throughout the whole duration of the game in terms of the kill department. But the high impact kills, I think Cray has had the upper hand.
When you take a look at the kill counts on the boards in general, right? You've got CSGG having a much better kill spread. Cray might not be as high as someone like someone over on the other side of the board. Come back to that in a second because Cray has come up with his kill on towards Rex. Peter with the responsive immediately to the 4 versus 4 situation, driving them back. Aldrone plays distraction. Pegasus with a kill back onto Jake's Tomo. And now RIX have the advantage here. Cray might get forced back, but he's got plenty of backup around him.
They've got the Hunter's Fury available as well for the afterplant. The CSGG ult, though, on the Viper's Pit has been invested to B. That means they know that the side of RIX are probably going to focus towards A. But that player, Bensky, still not moved. There's no way they're going to try and play for a bluff on the rotation here, right? There's no way RIX can fall into this. That would be an amateurish mistake. One player, though, that can have the world at his feet and in the grasp of his hands is Cray. Can he go huge for his side? He has got the tour de force to work with, though.
Might have to go huge, honestly, John. All in his hands. Top fragger by a single pick on his board. CSGG brace for impact here on the A site. They'll look for info on that recon dart. I don't think it spots the player. No, it does. It's Cray's back out of there. Hunter's Fury brought in by Lou, catching one player, taking down 2%. So it's all on Cray with the lockdown in play. A shot connects, but he can't find the lockdown itself. 6 seconds, leaning in for a bit more. A shot connects to Sergino, and he gets out of dodge just in time to evade the lockdown. He's brought it into a 2v2 as well.
Bensky, though, flying on the flank on the Viper. This is so winnable here for the side of CSGG.
I don't think they're aware of it either. Pegasus, back's turned, lean forwards. Oh, both backs are turned. In fact, it's so tense. This is everything. Engagement from Cray goes awry. It's Bensky alone to try close it down for CSGG. He's had his chances at clutches. Sees one. Oh, they line up. But Pegasus gets the headshot first. And we're on for overtime in the group stage of Epic Land.
Oh, strap in, ladies and gentlemen, because we have got a classic on our hands here. I was just begging. I was saying, Bensky, in my mind, just swing right around the corner and you've got 2-3 frags. They're not even looking at you. But just when you need someone to hold their nerve, it's Pegasus there to be the ice cold, vein-hearted man that he is, to find the kill and find the overtime round, to see RIX and CSGG just push at least a little bit more Valorant content out for ourselves to watch.
How tense this game has been, John. How unbelievably tense this one has gotten. This one...
The game's had everything.
Yeah,
it really has.
Truly it has. Some moments of downtime, some dismaying situations, a big streak that felt like it was going to give CSGG the easy victory. Then the comeback, the back and forth, everything being thrown back down the pipeline. Hypers again onto the attacking half, charging forward with the satchels. Rex, however, gets that pick in, and Surgeon has the angle in the corner. Gets that one for Bensky. TP's out of there. 5 on 3.
Yeah, it's great stuff from RIX. They're going to find the first 2 picks, and this is what we didn't see in regulation time on the defensive half. They didn't use the aggression that CSG were putting off against them. They were just letting them sort of roll over at times, but Tomo's there to find one. Can JT go huge and find any more? It doesn't matter because Cray's there to drop blue, and all of a sudden the numbers advantage is evaporated.
3 on 3, Surgeon. Almost being pressured back. Cray knows where he is, but he's watching for the backup of the rotations. Teleports out of there with the operator still in hand. Spike yet to get planted. They're still suppressed out of the side itself, mostly down to the toxic screens putting up by the defensive line. Kray's operator still playing the high ground, still hunting for the pick. Will start to extend a little bit further, but pixels away from spotting the individual down at main. Lean in against Peter. Spike goes down meanwhile, and Kray gets the pick. Unawares of where Surgeon is, but he doesn't get the kill back on the trade. The operator gives up a shoulder to a 2 versus 2. Now Pegasus back on the backstab once again, spraying through with Snakebite. And leaning forward against the attacking line, trying to catch the angle, trying to catch where 2% is first and foremost. Out in the open behind the corner. Leans in, very slow, very careful. Toxic screen goes out, kill gets found, swings back to the second, and Pegasus gets the headshot. Static take the opener of overtime.
Oh, Peg goes huge for the side of RIX, and dicey moments there for the side of RIX Static because the numbers advantage just disappeared before their very eyes, and it was a 2 versus 2. And to be totally honest with you, CSG, they'll probably be disappointed with that post-plant hold. You would have liked to see someone position maybe up towards the top of Belt or in towards Nest maybe. The crossfire was there, but they just didn't play it very, very well. They can't allow a player as good in terms of his one-on-one aim ability like Pegasus to just take one-on-one engagements, because he's going to find the headshots and the kill every single time. That's exactly what happens. Surgeon, 31 frags though so far, Jay, as RIX Static advance onto map point.
Unbelievable stuff from him. And definitely giving the opportunities to RIX Static. Opening up these rounds, getting the frag counts. Massive impact held as they try and cling on to their undefeated streak. You mentioned RIX, however, they are at the advantage. They do have match points. CSGG, oh, so close to Bensky's spray, comes a little bit awkward, and Surgeon will drop. Pegasus, however, traded back by Hypers, the 2-for-1, found by the defensive line. The attack continues for Rex as he tries to work into the A site. Kray, however, operator in hand, looks for the angle, sees the darts coming in, forced to TP away as he misses that shot, and Rex gains some site control, looks to the back lines as the spike goes down.
Yeah, rare miss as well from the operator on Kray. He's been so solid thus far. There we go. Spike goes down. Post-plant situation. There's Tomo to find not 1, but 2. It's all up to Rex. See you later, my friend. There's the 3K for the triples there. Guess what? We got more games on our hands.
My lord. How ridiculous has this game gotten?
Listen, look, I want to say a huge thank you to Pink Fluffy Unicorns and whoever it was that we was meant to cast. We saw this game and we was like, we are so sorry. We've got an amazing game. Can we please cast them? And listen, I'm so glad that the game is
yeah, absolutely. This one has been a banger, and it continues on into the second run around of overtime. 13 apiece. RIX Static and CSGG going blow for blow. And at this point, John, what do they have to do to break each other? What do they have to do to get that victory too?
I think it's going to come down to one individual player for their team stepping up and finding like a 2 or a 3K. I think whether that's Hypers for the side of CSGG or if it's the likes of Surgeon for the side of RIX, sorry, it really is going to come down to that. Pound for pound, I think they can just go blow for blow, and we could see 20-odd rounds being played out.
Rex, first frag onto Hypers. They had information as to where one of the players were. Spike, Shock Dart coming in from Lou. And Bensky set behind the tube entrance, looking out towards mid, just in case you see somebody here from the attacking or defensive side. So far, CSGG working from the back foot here. Down by a player, 2%. Unawares of where you can go.
To find the margin for error is so slim here, Jay. I mean, with the numbers advantage already in favor of RIX Static, they've got a bit of a sus, but oh my god, look at Bensky. He's got so aggressive through tube. Has to deal with the turret. Did he spot Peg? I don't think they've spotted each other cross.
No, they haven't. They certainly haven't. Peter knows that he's out here though, sees the gun barrel, gets the kill back. 5-on-3 now for RIX Static. James Tomo trying to set them up with a Prowler. Leaning in with his teammates, it will expire. 2% held back. The barrier orb gets overwhelmed. Surgeon with a 2 and the triple. Easy pickings for him, extending his frag counts to what, 34, 35 now? Performance continues as RIX get back into match point.
34 to be precise, nearly double positive, Jay. In the 30 kill department is a massive performance out of him. We come into this, we highlighted how solid Surgeon was in terms of, at the moment, he's inside the top 3 for average combat scores in the most recent Beacon events. And this is the reason why, because he can put on a show-stopping performance just like this. And I mentioned we need one player from each team to step up and try and find a 2 or a 3K in a round to swing it in their favor. And it seems like Sagino's just that man for his side. CSGG now, though, they're on the defensive side of things. Can RIX shut this out?
They're going to have to. Chance to try and break the CSGG side. It has been defensive lines that have managed to bring these ones home. The operator of Kray to lean forward ahead of the recon dart, the recon bolt, getting the information back Forcing him to TP out of dodge. Slow. Careful, and the operator refacing as his Hyper's holding back the back line. Pixels away from spotting the information. Cray continues facing though. Rescope in, the catch players off. Look up high. Flick does not connect it. He once again TP's out, and now they should take the site.
Yeah, but he knows the tracking through this smoke so well. He's going to continue getting aggressive, or is he? The Sage Wall actually bumps him out as he finds the shot. There's going to be the plant. Lou finds the shock dart lineups, and all of a sudden, Spike down RIX advantage.
5-on-4, but 2% brings it back to a 4-on-4 with a good kill in mid, the lurk out to the flank, and now the main defensive force stacks up for the retake. Once again, they'll look for info with the recon bolt. How much they're going to find? Not much, it doesn't seem like. Recon bolt does get destroyed. I don't think they saw a player either, maybe one. They all come in together. They all start the push. CSGG with the utility basis. Bensky, however, gives up the frag to Surgeon. Leans back against Lou, who doubles up against Jakes Tomo. Oh, but 2% lines up a double.
He's got the res.
2v2.
He has the res.
The res back in and everything.
God.
Jakes Tomo swings. There on the spike. The kills are found. And Peter got a swing in a 3K. He just can't do it. CSGG continue to stay alive.
How, Jay, explain to me it's defying gravity. Sir Isaac Newton would be turning in his grave, to say the least. This is ridiculous from the side of CSGG. How you've allowed 2%. He was 5-19 at the start of that round, Jay, and he's found a quadrant to go huge to keep the side of CSGG alive.
They had a 2% chance to win that round, but he showed up as appropriate. What a play. But CSGG only made it possible with mistakes, mispositioning, and the right use of ultis at the right time. We play on triple overtime, 14 all.
I'm lost for words.
I'm lost for words as well.
Jay. I don't know.
It's
just
just
let them
like,
play.
Yeah,
Why are we here at this point?
Yeah, just let it happen. Let it happen. See what happens. Let it go.
Oh.
How important this result must mean to RIX to keep this. I mean, to both teams, in fact. Both squads looking to try and not take their first loss. Looking to try and fend off the undefeated streak of the other. Operator of Cray again leaning in for CSGG on the attacking side. Will not get the angle of the shot onto Lou. Will have the information. But Sergio again posted up high and aggressive.
First point of contact is going to be so huge. How many times have we said throughout the competition, but this game in particular, the first frag, the first engagement of the rounders tend to swing in the direction of the winners. I mean, unless you've got someone like 2% just flying around getting quadras with 10 seconds left in the round. So vital though for both these sides that they win this game. It'll keep them flawless in the group, like you said, but not only that, the momentum swing and the knocking confidence could also play dividend into the later stages of the competition.
This is such an important match. It's turned that way by circumstance and happenstance, and the one-for-one trades be all down to the efforts of CSGG. Bensky regains the advantage. Surgeon waiting back. The toxic screens will provide the cover for the attacking side. They get the spike down to the site. Not quite planted as of yet. They'll try and open up. 15 seconds to go. They've got to find this spike plant relatively soon. And RIX Static are extremely close to catching them as the backstab also inbound. The Hypers has it marked. Pegasus down. Surgeon and Peter again strike on the site itself though. Cray, operator swing. Surgeon with the kill back. And RIX Static continue to hold their own. The defuse being hound. The Hypers here with the Satchel, the spray through against Surgeon, offers up the triple and offers up match point for the third time to RIX.
Do any team want to win this game, Jay? CSGG are in a 5 versus 2 with complete control of the site, and they've somehow thrown that round away. It makes no sense. Surgeon trying to push for a 40 bomb, by the way, can we just say? I mean,
that's what it is. RIX want to give him a 40 bomb, that's why.
They saw him at like 31 kills when it was like 12-12. They were like, you know what, we can play with our food a little bit more, surely. But either way, imagine these guys in a best of 3 later on in the tournament. This is going to be a game to look out for, to say the least.
If these guys are bound for victory or bound for each other, then you want to see that series when it happens. Only at Epic Land. Match point again for RIX. CSGG on the defensive now, and they stack up towards the A site. No shenanigans. This will just be a hot, quick play. Straight in, straight out. Try and find the kills as appropriate. Lou leans in with the Owl drone, and Peter and Pegasus come up with those kills. A 5-on-3. Where are the trades? Jakes Tomo looking for them. Is caught off guard, but can't get those wall bangs. Gets returned down to 76 points of HP. 2% also lurking around as Jakes Tomo falls down now. CSGG on the precipice of the loss here.
It's a tough spot that CSGG find himself in, 2 versus 5, and I just can't see how they're going to wiggle their way back into this. Now the recon drones come out as well. I think it's going to have spotted one player onto Cray. He finds the first. There's CSGG.
That's 1 out of 5. Teleport out of there onto the site itself, actually. Spike leaning in. The turret's been spotted. Also got the Nano Swarm out to try and protect them. They need to make the move in quick. Spike's ticking. They haven't got much time. 2%. 4 players to get. Cray leaning in as well towards the other side of the site. They need to get in real quick, tap it once, get rid of the alarm bot as Cray gets traded. It's all to 2% to clutch it one more time. A 1v3 swings out, but he can't get it done this time. RIX Static finally get the finishing blow. 16-14. It's RIX Static remaining undefeated in the group stage.
Oh, that's going to be a bitter pill to swallow for CSGG, to say the least. They were so far ahead in that game. But RIX, the experienced, the fantastic team that they are, round by round, claw themselves, drag themselves from the depths of destruction back into a winnable situation. And in overtime, it really looked like they had the difference factor. And you've got to say that might have been CSGG there at 39 and 20.
Can I just request real quick for production to bring the scoreboard back up? Because this needs to be seen right here from Sergino's part and the kind of efforts that he put up in this matchup compared to just the rest of the entire board in the server, right? You have to see how impactful he was to the RIX side. 39 kills versus Cray's 26. That is utterly ridiculous. That is utterly insane.
I want to talk about the average combat score as well. 368. He had a near enough better combat score than 3 of his other teammates put together nearly, bar about 50, 60 odd combat score. That is absolutely stupid from CSGG, to say the least. But you know what? You've got to say, credit where credit is due for CSGG. It was a very, very evenly team-based performance from them. You would like to say if 2% had stepped up and performed a little bit better, they could have got the job done.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, though, honestly.
That's what I mean.
In theory, because I could look at the low numbers and always pinpoint that guy to be the blame. But ultimately, like, I do feel like 2%, when he had the impact kills, he had the impact kills. He was the guy that kept them alive in that overtime to even extend it as far as it went to when it went to the 16-14 anyway. It could have been easily been a 14-12. Yeah. 100%. Very easily could have been that case, but that wasn't the case at all. So credit to him and credit to those guys because they gave it their best shot. They really had it down pat, and that match was an absolute banger, as we hoped it would be, as we thought it would be, John.
As it indeed was as well, to say the least. Jay, and listen, if that's what the best of ones are bringing us, roll on the best of threes later on, my man, because I'm strapped in. I hope you guys are at home as well. We will try and just quickly get some other results from across the board to see what other teams are staying at, but I mean, either team that lost that would be kicking themselves with how tight that game was.
What I will do right now is update you all on the current standings of the group stage. We currently have a few matches to play out, but right now in Group A, obviously RIX Static take the top end of the board, having knocked CSGG down into the 4-1 stage now, and they'll be tied up with the Jokers, who I'm not sure where currently the tiebreakers sit on that particular side of things. Cognizant sitting in 4th place, the Goose House back at 5th, CSGG Academy will be up in the 6th place position, and Dobby's Defenders, Prince under 18s, will take those last 2 positions on Group A. In Group B, Gladius currently hold the 5-0 streak over in that side of things. They are currently undefeated. Same cannot be said for Tempera or Eco. Both those 2 teams have yet to play their final match, or their next the round match that we're currently playing out now. That's still being finished. Same thing for Pink Fluffy Unicorns in 4th place, Tabula Rasa in 5th place, League 8's in 6th place, Bad Bluff in 7th place, and Pablo Kittens have played their 5 games, still 0-5 at 8th place at this moment in time. So those are your group standings, John. Any surprises at this stage?
Sort of standard stuff, really, I would say, from what it looks like. I mean, it looks like the top 4. I mean, it was Group A, really. It was between the Goose House and Cognizant, who are going to probably take that 4th spot, to be totally honest with you. The Goose House haven't got off to a smooth sailing result that they want to so far, but we are still in the best of ones. They're a team that I think are probably a best of 3 team. They like to build themselves into a series as opposed to just like a one-and-done kind of game. Other than that, it looks pretty standard stuff from across the board. We have, though, got lots more Valorant action to catch up on later on, if I'm right, Jay.
Indeed we do. As we continue with our group stage action, we've got a couple more best of ones to play out here as we head towards the break. Do not go anywhere, because we're sure we've got some more epic Valorant action after this.